Hello again everyone, it's Annette Green here. I'm going to be working in my 2023 planner. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. So in my last video I did just a few days ago, I talked about my plans for my 2023 planner. And this is my scrapbook planner. And I've decided that I'm going to do things a little differently, as I mentioned in the last video, and rather than waiting to scrapbook a particular event, I'm just going to keep a weekly this time. See if I can stick to it. We'll see. So I mentioned at that other video that I would just go ahead and pick some random paper in my stash and pre-cut a bunch of pages, 27 pages to be exact, because there are 52 weeks, but I'm going to do 1 week on one side and another week on the other side. So that's my plan. So let me back up a little bit about this paper. In my stash, like I mentioned, I had this very old pink paisley Hope Chest paper from 2013. I picked it because it's very neutral and vintagey and just what I like. But certainly there are some other options for you, especially if you know, you want to go ahead and get all these pages prepped, but you don't know the colors of anything that's going to happen in your photos or anything like that. It's great to start with some very neutral, generic kind of background paper. And so you can see I have labeled this Grid Graph Ledger, and this is just a bunch of random stash of papers that have either a grid, a graph, or some kind of ledger to them. So I've just kind of kept them all in one bag. These would be great. Another favorite that you might like, of course, is, and this has been around quite a while as well, this is Tim Holtz Paper Stash, the memoranda line. And as you can see just from the sampler on the front of the packaging, it's fairly neutral, a little busy in some cases, but certainly in others it's really nice neutral background that's not too busy. So you have options, and of course there's always any of the Elizabeth Craft Designs papers. We have paper packs, and we have all these books. The Reminiscence, the book, this is number 5, so these are great as well. My plan is to use all those papers I showed you from pink paisley, and then to embellish with Reminiscence, the book 5. So you'll see a lot of embellishy things that I'm going to build today from that collection. Just a few dies I'm going to use to start off. Actually, every week I will be using this set. This is number 1915, the large numbers die set. And so you probably saw when I flipped that one page that there's a 2 over here already. It's a nice big number, almost 2.5 inches tall, so very nice. So I'm going to use that on every week. And today I'm going to build my front dashboard, and then week 1. That's all I'm going to do for you today. And then I'm going to hopefully come back every week and do a week and share how I made it. So as I make some things, I will show you what dies I've used, but there's just a few sets here, and then one stamp set so far. All right, so let's dig in. Because I said 27 pages, right? But there's 52 weeks, that would be 26. But you have to have your, what I'm going to call my dashboard. My very first page is not going to be one of the weeks out of the year. So this will be week 1 here. So I have that extra there. And at the end, I believe we end with number 53. So that might be blank back there. Okay, just so you understand what's going on. All right, we'll put this aside and get busy here. When I cut these pages, completely random, except for when I was putting them in the book. I tried to make sure that they kind of matched across the page. Somewhat, see? Definitely matchy-matchy in many cases. And this is very beautiful paper, but quite old, like I said. So you find what works for you, and certainly you don't have to use pattern paper at all for your background. You can use solid. I just like a little something happening in the background. Makes less work for me that way when I'm decorating the pages. Okay, so let's start with my, call it the dashboard page. And I already have a plan in place and everything pre-cut just to save some time sharing with you, you know, making choices and picking things out. But I will show you that I have used that one die for my 2023, and this is called, this is 1986, the alphabet tabs. There's also some blanks in here and numbers and some punctuation and a heart and whatnot. It's a favorite. I really like this. So as you can see, I've already kind of got these going. So 2, 0, 2, 3 is all ready to go. So I've used the solid, well, you can't see it because I have double-sided adhesive on the back, but I used the solid tan for the solid part of the die, and then of course this brown pattern paper from the book number 5 to do the number parts. All right, so those are ready to go. I fussy cut this somewhat, you know, I cut like the rectangle, but then I fussy cut just the top. No need to fussy cut the whole thing. That's just a beautiful image from the paper pad as well, the book 5. And then these are from the book 5 as well. You know, just random tickety kind of things. I did cut out the word weekly and journal, and let's see, those letters right there are from that same tab die I showed you. I just used the letters rather than the whole rectangle, just popped out the word weekly. And then the word journal is from a fairly new set here, number 1983, the General File Folder set number 2. It's got this great journal die. It's got all these little numbers, which you will see when I do week 1. But journal is right here. I've already cut that out. I've layered 2 pieces of paper together, all set to go. Those papers, of course, are from the book number 5 also. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. Well, maybe not that much. And I'll go ahead and get some hole reinforcements on here. This is from the Reinforcement Variety Pack number 1, and they're just the regular circles. And I've cut them out of this green coordinating pattern paper from the book 5. And I ran them through my Xyron sticker maker because I forgot to put the double-sided adhesive on before I die cut them. And what I'm going to do, because I really, really want to see if I can get this entire album into one planner instead of several. I know Esther does like 3. It takes 3 for the whole year, but she does every spread is just 1 week. So I'm going to see if I can get this down into one planner by doing a week on each page. And so what I was getting to was when I'm doing any kind of paper embellishing on my page, I'm using the thinner of the 2 thicknesses of paper in the book number 5. The front of the book has very thin weight paper, and the reason why I do that is so that this doesn't become super duper thick. Okay, so we have our whole reinforcers on there, easy peasy, and then we're going to start to layer a few things. And here's my idea. I've got everything inked with some frayed burlap, and I think I want to put this little ticket maybe going right down off, almost off the bottom of the page. Let's get this up a little higher. Now if you want to be economical, let's snip this in half, because I'm only going to see the bottom half, and we could use that somewhere else on a different page. So I think we'll do that, and we'll do this behind it, or in front of it, maybe like that. And we'll move this eventually, but I think that will go there. And then I'm going to put the word weekly up here, because this is my weekly journal. And then the 2022, I'm not going to have it hanging off the page, but just sort of peeking out from behind my little fussy cut image here. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment and get all this stuff adhered to the page for you. I'm going to get this last little bit on here, but I wanted to show you just very quickly. I've shown this a lot on different videos. See the little ticket edge on these? I did not cut that with my scissors all like perfectly like fussy cut. I actually have these from forever ago, and people still seem to be able to find them. I bought them as a set long ago. Fiskars for Teresa Collins edition way back when, but they're great. So there's two different sizes and they make a really nice postage edge. If you can find something similar to that, that's kind of a nice thing to have in your stash, tool stash to use to give that real ticket edge feel. And I just have to pop the word journal on here. I think I want this to come past a little bit over here. And you notice I am not popping up anything with foam tape. I feel like that's just gonna defeat my purpose of trying to get all this into one planner at the end. So I'm gonna keep everything nice and flat and thin. But there we go with the dashboard, all ready to go. Looks good. And so now we're gonna work on this side, which is got this pattern on it, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab number 2 again, just so you can see what is going to be across from it over here, like this. So I've also decided with the whole reinforcements, I'm only going to put them on one side of each page rather than both. Again, adds thickness, and we don't want to make things too thick. All right, and for sake of time, I've got a lot of things prepped over here. So the first week of January, still kind of in it because today's only the 5th. But I am going to just go ahead and do it today because I have time, and I just had a birthday. So I thought, well, I'm just going to put, we didn't do a whole lot else this week besides that, so I'm just going to put that in here for now, my birthday. And so I have introduced a stamp set, which we will talk about here, and that is number CS254, Weekly Thoughts. And this is actually a great one to have in your stash for any kind of weekly journaling, or any kind of journaling. It doesn't have to be weekly, any planner making, because it has this this week in review kind of listing stamp. It's got little tags and of course all these little words, and I've already stamped up here week in review just with black. And so what I'll do here is start to get my little photo mats in place. I do have a plan laid out. I've taken a picture. It's off to my right on my iPad. I like to do that. In fact, I would recommend that you do that as well. Take a picture, and once you have your things all laid out, to see if you like it, and then maybe even step away for just a little bit, even though you think, no, that's my plan, that's what I'm going to do. It's amazing what you can see if you just leave for a second and come back and take a look. Something might look a little bit out of balance all of a sudden, that you've looked at it with fresh eyes, and that's where, if it's right in front of you as opposed to in a picture where you can really stand back and look, it's very helpful. So I do that often. I'm going to put my one over here, and you can see I cut that one with the die, and I cut it out of that really cool green paper that's in there, and I mounted it on another little bit of paper just to set it off from this background here. Okay, we can't talk about this, but I am going to put at the beginning of every new month, instead of having a whole month like divider page, I don't have room for that. I'm just going to put it on that particular day, on that particular week page, just to save a little room, a little space. And so I'm not putting adhesive all the way across because I gotta get my photo under here. So I'll just check that for straightness. Okay, so far so good. And then I have stamped this happy birthday with that stamp set I just showed you, just on some of the random paper that I had. Did a little fold over doomahickey, and that's all I use from this set currently, but I may use this set for future pages. So it's a good one to note, and that is Planner Essentials 7. It's got all these foldovers. There's a little foldover I use, 2 different kind of partial page dies, and what does this say? Having fun, friends, and great. So it's a good one to have. So I got that ready. I'm not going to put anything on the top of that but that. I think it's going to go on an angle, but I think I'll get this little photo mat down here before I get too far. And again, all these papers are from the thinner part of the book 5, just to keep things nice and flat. You could certainly treasure your paper and use cardstock instead, but I just like a little bit of that pattern showing. So we're going to put this just in line with the one above it. Okay, and yeah, my photo is going to cover most of that, but you'll still see some of that peeking around, and I think that's very interesting rather than just a flat cardstock mat. Okay, this is the same as this, so this will go in the bottom corner down here. I think I'll come all the way down. Put a little bit more space between these two, just so I have room for my little happy birthday tag, which I think will go there. And then I stamped this little tag, and I'm going to talk about that. But then here are the numbers. Remember, I think I showed you those numbers in that one set. There's a whole string of numbers in the file folder, set number 2, right there. So I cut out 59 because that's how old I am. Don't tell anybody. And then this is from the stamp set we've been using right here. Now I want to talk about that because I'm going to show you something that you can do. Sometimes you have a plan in your head and maybe the stamp or the die doesn't work exactly how you want it to. So what I mean is this. We're going to stamp this out. I just grabbed a random scrap of a tag that I had here. Grab some ink over here, and I'm using kind of a, it's like potting soil they call it. It's archival brown. Okay, and so you can see this is a great little tag when it's stamped out, but there's only 4 lines there. See the writing lines? There's only 4, and I always have so much to say. And even then it's kind of a small area to get it done in. By the way, this is my close to my heart cutting mat that has a cushion on the other side, which is great for stamping. Let's see. So what I have done to mine, as you can see, many more lines are there. I just went and found a brown marker. I had archival micron pen, and I got my ruler out and just started adding some rules, kind of evenly spaced in between the rules that are already in the stamp. So, you know, you can always do that. You got to do things that work for you, you know. So I'll just do 1, 2, and I really kind of eyeballed it. and I'm going to go ahead and do the rest and save this for later, but I would draw another one there and another one at the top and then cut this out, you know. So you can always make things work how you want them to. So getting back to this, so I have stamped it, I've cut it out, I've written all that I want to write. And I put a little eyelet in the tag and a little bit of twine, and I really hammered that eyelet because I don't want it to be thick. So we'll get this on here since it's ready to go. I'm just using art glitter glue. I was using my tape runner earlier, you saw. It's getting a little bit low, so it's getting a little harder to run. Okay, and as always I like to overlap slightly. I don't want things just touching tip to tip, so I want that to overlap up there and over here. And I made sure to not put glue there where the photo is going to go. All right, and then I got my 59 and my journaling, and I think it's just going to go there, and my 59 will overlap that just slightly. So I'm actually going to get the 59 down there first and leave it glue-free at the top, just the top, so I can get that little tag under there. Okay. And then glue is great here because then you can really mash it down on that twine. Sneak it under there. Okay, cool. And if I use any twine at all, probably for the whole year, I'm just going to use this very neutral, natural color. I don't think I'll change that much because it can go nice and flat. Guess what? I think I'm done. I'm already done. Isn't that amazing? How exciting. That took no time at all. I mean, I did prep a lot of things, but still. Didn't take long to prep the things. So I have to now I can just sit back and wait for week 2 to happen. So I can do that next week. And so I will be back next week for sure. And we will work on another week together. What I'd like to know from you, if you don't mind, to go into the comments and let me know your thoughts about occasionally doing a live YouTube broadcast about this, maybe once a month, what your feelings would be there. Or do you just rather have it, you know, the lives are saved, you can always watch it back later. Or do you just rather do it this way that we've always done it? The lives, you can interact with me, we can have conversations, I can answer your questions immediately. Of course, we all know how that works. But some people would prefer it this way. So you just let me know. Okay? So here we go. Week 1 is done, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.